Hi, my name is Belinda Glenn, and I'm here with Paul Anthony Sonnier Jr., and he is an actor and producer that I partially know from the film industry, but we were just realizing that the first time we met, and you were, I don't remember the exact moment.
I mean, it was because of film. It was, we were doing a commercial, and
Okay.
it was at the University of Utah, but it was all the way on top, like on the base, like there's a building right, like at the start of the mountain, like all the way in the back.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Okay. It was for University of Utah?
It wasn't for the University of Utah. I forgot
Okay.
exactly what it was for, but we did something in corporate office where we were something to deal with one company that wanted like corporate meetings or something like that.
Oh yeah, and we were upstairs and we were like in those cubicles and they were
Yes.
just doing like little scenes with us as
The glass rooms and the cubicles and all that.
Yeah, and we were sort of more extras, maybe,
Yeah.
or did anyone have lines?
I think we had a few lines. I think we did some stuff like, I don't know if it was for like a software because we were doing some stuff on the computer and they were doing over the shoulder shots and everything. We had a few lines, but that was like 4 or 5 years ago.
That was a
something
while
like that.
ago. Back in the early days.
Yeah.
And then I guess we saw each other again at the U
Yes.
because our most recent, like where we're most familiar with each other is that for the last few years, I guess I don't know how long you've been there, the last 2 or 3 years.
About 2 years now.
Okay, yeah, probably about the same time. We both work up at the U in the simulation center in the nursing school and also in the medical school where we pretend to be patients and then they like diagnose us and like kind of practice diagnosing and practice communicating with us. Anyway, it's really interesting stuff.
Yes, it is. It's fun.
So, yeah, so that's how we know each other. And I don't know, so we have talked a lot about your background, but I'm sure there's a lot I don't know.
Yeah, so I guess background, military brat.
Okay.
So started off born in Germany, Landstuhl, Germany.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so lived in Europe for 10 years, first years of my life.
Okay. Wow. In Germany?
Yes.
Okay.
And
So do you speak German?
no.
Okay, so when you're in the military.
Yeah, so we learned Dutch every year. But I mean, after that, we moved to Japan. We moved to Okinawa right after.
Oh.
And so then, like, we learned Japanese. I think I learned Japanese until I moved there when I was 10. So when we got to 7th grade, we were allowed to, in middle school, we were allowed to pick what language you wanted. For some reason, all those military kids picked Spanish.
Oh, okay.
We're in Japan and we picked Spanish.
That was the cool thing.
Yeah, I don't know why. And then after that, moved here, but family's from Louisiana, so would get sent back, some summers, some holidays to spend time out there. They moved here.
Okay. Wait, so how long were you in Louisiana?
Mostly just summers and like Christmases when we go back to visit, so never actually like lived out there.
Okay.
Just go visit family.
Okay.
So Europe 10 years, and then Okinawa, Japan for 4 years, and then here. So I've been here next January in a month makes actually 20 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. And you, I love Louisiana. I dated a guy whose family was from there. So I've been to New Orleans.
Okay.
And, I have this weird, awareness of it.
Right.
But it's a cool culture.
Definitely one of the most different, exciting cultures in America, honestly. Like so much is part of that culture. So it makes it, I mean, everybody I meet, it's like, oh my God, I love Louisiana. Like I love, Creole food or Cajun food. So
It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love any dish at any restaurant that's like Cajun spices and stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna get that one. They're probably not that authentic.
Right.
I mean, they're kind of.
it depends where you go.
It's usually kind of close.
Yeah. Here it's like, like they put Cajun on it, and it's like,
But okay.
okay, like, or,
You're like, that's not Cajun.
right.
What is Cajun then? Tell me.
It's just cook. It's the way the spices and what they put in it. A lot of love, a lot of careness. I mean, my mom and dad still cook it out here, so I have a lot of friends who are like, oh, when's your mom making gumbo? When is she making this? When are you making that? So, I mean, we get a lot of people like waiting for it out here because
like, we'll come by.
Yeah, exactly.
So your dad was in the military, and so did you grow up? Was it like being on bases overseas, or?
Yeah. So Yeah, he did 24 years in the Air Force.
Okay.
So as far as for Europe, I lived on base, the base the whole time in Ramstein, but we got to travel. So a lot of our field trips, we would go to other countries. And we've seen so many castles and statues.
Oh, wow.
Like growing up, it was kind of a thing. Like the military was really good back then, where we could, those were our field trips. And it was amazing. Parents would take off and they would come with us. You know, every parent wanted to chaperone those field trips because they would get to experience, with us too. And same thing in Japan. So we had to travel a lot and see a lot of different. Military was really big on us experiencing other cultures, which was great.
Oh, okay. So they wanted you to have that
Yeah.
experience.
So when I first moved to Japan, we lived off base for 6 months. So outside of one of the gates. And around us, we lived around Japanese people, which was cool. I was like 10 years old. And I remember that year, my mom and 2 sisters went back to Louisiana for the whole summer. And I decided to stay with my dad. So, I mean, there was another military family, like kind of in the cul-de-sac, but everybody else was Japanese. And so I would walk to the store and I got to know the kids in the neighborhood. And so it was cool to experience all that.
And you are fluent in Japanese?
No.
And were you at that time? Or
No,
how did
I mean,
you...
like we learned it and like kind of, like it's different, like body language. I mean, like we were kids, so we just played and we understood each other just from playing and kind of picks things up and English. I mean, everybody knows some English, I guess, in every other culture. And you would just learn, you would try to communicate, which was
That's so
fun.
interesting. Yeah, I never thought about that kids probably get past the cultural barriers a little bit easier than adults because, I don't know, we learn like how important, we weren't learning about what our identity is and what other people's identity is, but kids can just kind of...
There's no frustration. There's no like judgment. It's just like, okay, there's a soccer ball. We both like soccer. Let's kick it around. We both like basketball. Let's play basketball.
Yeah.
And
this is an easy thing.
Yeah,
like, we want to
like,
do it more than
like,
not doing it, so we'll figure it out.
If you don't like this, I can tell you're upset, and you can tell I'm upset, and then we get to the language after that. But
cool. That's really cool. I've never thought about that. So what was your favorite experience of being overseas? I mean, do you have any?
I don't know if I have a favorite. I guess it's like I could pinpoint different parts in time. I mean, like I really loved Europe. Like I tell everybody they should go travel to Europe. I mean, because the train system, you could go for 13 days and see 5 countries.
Right.
You can see everything you want to see. And then Asia, like depending on where you go, you can see different parts of Japan. You can go to Guam. You can go to Taiwan. You can go to the Philippines and Korea. Like it's just like certain parts of my life I remember so much, and it's not like a favorite. It's like this experience was amazing, and then this experience was amazing. So it's not like one. I don't have one. I know it sounds weird. I know people have like favorite moments. It's just not like one favorite moment. It's just like I thank my parents all the time for like being in the military, and my sister and I were allowed to have that experience at such an early age, and like kind of see things in the world and look at things like maybe a little bit differently because we were amongst other cultures. For me, it was the first 14 years of my life. We were on base, and we were always off base doing things, exploring like what's going on in other countries and food and getting to know people. So got to learn a lot early.
Yeah, so it's like you just remember certain things better. So you're like, well, those must have been impactful since I remember them so well. And yeah, that makes sense. I'm from an international family, so I feel like it does kind of change the way that you just kind of your outlook on things overall.
Like on the world, it's like when people say things like, "No, I've been there. They're not like that."
They're
really not. I lived there for a little bit. Like they're not. I promise. Like
don't just think if you haven't been somewhere and you haven't been immersed.
Right. Like so much stuff is shown, like I guess on TV. That's like, oh no, they're actually nice. Like I promise.
Like maybe there's some bad people or some like bad experiences you can have.
Yeah, I mean, and that's anywhere in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, totally. How do you feel like coming from an international background? I mean, I know we kind of just talked about it, but has it changed like specifically?
It was weird. Like actually, like because for the most part, when we would come back to America, like we would be in Louisiana, and then every now and then we used to take trips to Florida. So it's mostly the South and mostly Louisiana for like 90% of the time. 95% of the time. So that's what I knew from Europe. We go to visit Louisiana, for Asia, visit Louisiana, and then we're in Utah. And Utah's a whole different world to me.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, okay, like, why are you here? I remember 13, 14, we moved here. And it was like, I was like, oh, we're going to Utah. And I was like, what is that a state? He was like, the Jazz. Oh, Salt Lake City. Like, okay. Like, you know,
And Utah's like foreign to you.
yeah. Like,
Right.
honestly, like America was foreign to us in a sense. Even though we lived on base, like it was so multicultural, like, you know, because they have GIs or military men and women would marry, you know, people from that country. So their kids, there was so much going on to where there was a lot going on, which is beautiful. And then moving here, especially to America, it's kind of like, oh, everybody's the same.
Oh, right.
Like, and being a military kid, it was weird, like living off base and like everybody's American. Like
Okay.
there's no like other culture in a sense. Like we're not.
Here.
Yeah, it's just like everybody's American. I guess that's all I can say. It's not like, oh, they're German or they're France or they're Filipino or they're Japanese. It's just everybody's American, you know. And it's just
Right.
like, and the process of like what we were used to doing or being where we were at overseas was normal, like being on base all the time, and then we would leave. That was little America, and then leaving the base, and we're in another country. Here it's America, and I guess the thought process and what we learned and hands-on as being overseas was like, oh, okay, so we're just here. And it takes, I know for us personally, my sisters and I, it took us a while to adjust, you know, to being in America.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's interesting that it would actually be more foreign to be in a homogenous group where
Yeah.
everybody's the same than what you're used to, which is being in a really diverse,
Right.
like, it's not even just, it's, you know, culturally, it's culturally
Right.
diverse.
Yeah, and I think for us it was my oldest sister and I especially, because she's overseas for 15 years, 14. My little sister was born in Germany also, and so she's 7 years overseas. But for my older sister and I, it was like all we knew, and it wasn't like we lived in America first and then moved overseas and then moved back. It was just overseas. Like that was it
Yeah.
for us for the most part.
That's so interesting. So you come here and you're like, America is the most foreign place I've ever been.
Yeah, and my mom was nervous. Like honestly, my mom was nervous about us like being in America finally, because all we knew was, you know,
Yeah.
the military base life for the most part.
So was there any weird adjustments after you got here, or was?
Yeah, I remember one day in school, they introduced me. It's like, hey, this is a new kid. He's from Japan, and they're like, oh, do you speak English? I'm like, yeah, I'm American. Like, you know, it's in 9th grade. I remember that, and like it just kind of like the adjustment was like, yo, do you like? They're trying to talk to me as if like I don't understand, and it's just like, dude, yes, okay, I speak English. Like I'm American. Like I'm not Japanese. I just lived there for the last 4 years, you know, and just like having to explain to people like what it was like living in Europe and Asia, and having to explain like kids who don't know anything about, you know, being a military kid, like, or with their parents, what it was like. It's like, and they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. And it's like, oh, I guess it is, but it's just all I know. Like, so like to us, for us it was normal. And for everybody else, for the most part, like they would be amazed by like the stories, and we'd just be like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know why you're so excited. Wait, you've never been out of Utah? Wait, never? Just to Vegas. You've never been overseas? For us, it was weird that people, like, we thought everybody traveled.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody's been overseas and it's been in Europe or Asia, like, and then we started finding out like, oh no, I've never. St. George is the farthest I've been. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you got to travel when you get older, like.
Yeah, and I've had that experience too, where you realize like this is the center of someone's universe,
Right.
Because like they know this is what they know, and you know, so that's the center of the world
Yeah.
for them, and their family hasn't left for a long time, which is, I mean, I think it's good in a lot of ways because you've got all your extended family and
Exactly.
all together. And so you see each other a lot, whereas my extended family, I think because maybe we're from a more international background, we kind of spread out naturally.
Right.
So, you know, I don't get to see the nieces and nephews as often as I'd like, and family members. So I see the pluses in it, you know. But at the same time, it is kind of like, wow, this is your mindset,
Yeah.
because you're not exposed to anything else.
Like, and that was us. Like, we've always been the ones who were gone. Like, we have cousins that they're there. They were always around grandma and grandpa and aunts and uncles. We were always the ones who were gone. So
Okay.
we would just pop in for the summer, or pop in for the holidays. And we're all close. Like, all our cousins, we grew up, like, we're all close. But it was just like, we were always gone. Like, maybe it'd be every year. Maybe it'd be like every other year. It wasn't like constant thing. And then back then, you know, we didn't have. I was born in '86, so back then we had to make like long distance phone calls. Like,
Right.
had to really dial buttons. And I remember like,
And it costs money.
yeah. So we didn't have social media or cell phones where we could FaceTime like kids do now. It was like, okay, we're gonna call grandma at this point in time. Make sure you're inside and not playing outside so you can talk to grandma and grandpa. Like, that's how, you know.
Yeah. Can't, and you're like the cousins who came into town once a year. Like,
Yeah.
We had actually a family in our family, our cousins that were in the military too. So they were, you know, they were like the exotic cousins that would come and visit. So that's probably what you guys were.
Yeah,
is like the ones that were always overseas, and they were like, oh yeah, we just came from Germany. You know, they lived in Germany for a while too, and Hawaii, and also Japan actually. So, like, yeah.
But for us, like, we were so excited. Like, we're going back to Louisiana. Oh, we get to see everybody. Like, we were just like so excited always to go home, because like we get to see our cousins and our grandparents and aunts and uncles. Like, we couldn't wait, and then we have to go back to like Europe, Asia, and we were like, oh. I know it sounds weird, but it's like we have to leave our family. Like, we're having so much fun for this month or two that we're here, and we have to leave because we have to go to our home, and because we don't live here.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. Which is, why I feel that same thing of visiting family when you all live far away.
Yeah.
You know, on one hand, it's like more individual, you're all individualistic, you're all doing your own thing. But on the other hand, you miss each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's cool. What's your favorite cultural thing about Louisiana and your background there? Or like something that you like about that?
I guess, so I'm Creole, so my family strives from being French, Black, and Native American.
Okay.
So I guess
Is that what Creole?
Yeah.
Actually, not familiar with the exact definition.
Yeah, and there's different definitions. I know like a lot of people like in other countries like Jamaica and stuff like that, they have Creole there too. But the Creole culture, a lot of it comes from New Orleans, a lot in New Orleans because of the settlements of the French, and then they have the Native Americans and the Blacks being there, and so that they've all intertwined.
Oh, okay.
And that's where like a lot of the food comes from. Like the French, the Africans and the Native Americans, like people were mixed in cultures, and they just started making their own kind of, their food.
Oh, gotcha. Because I know I learned a lot about the French influence.
Yeah.
Like out in the country, they speak a type of French that's kind of like
different.
interesting.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, my dad's dad still speaks French.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I don't know. I guess just being different culturally. Like I have different parts of my family that I've gotten to know over the years, especially when getting older. And so I guess knowing like, and then hearing stories from my grandpa. He's 98. That's still alive.
Oh man.
And the stories that I've heard over the years, as I've gotten older, it's gotten like trying to be closer to like my grandparents when they were alive, and aunts and uncles, like to hear stories about them. I guess it's just not more of it's a cultural thing, but I guess it's more of a personal relationship with each of them that I've been able to have from their experiences for the most part.
Can you share a story from your grandfather? I love hearing this. If you can remember.
So he used to call me, if I can write, it's Sude when I was a kid.
Okay.
And for the longest time, I thought it was endearing.
Okay. Uh-oh.
And he meant it out of love. It's just like a nickname he used to give me. And it meant rat.
Oh my gosh.
So it was all out of love. I was always around, like when they would play like card games at the table, and they'd give me like little nickels, and they'd let me deal hand, stuff like that. And so they'd call me Sude, and I'm like, oh, what does that mean? Rat. Oh.
Rat.
Whoa. But we joke about it. So
yeah. Well, in French, I know they have like little rabbit. So maybe it's like little.
Yeah. Like 5 goes west. I'm cute like 5 go west. Right?
Yeah,
let's go that way.
That works.
But yeah, that's a favorite story of mine. So, and he has tons of stories that I don't remember that he knows about me. Like, it's like, oh, okay.
Or from his life, like what stories from his, like where did he grow up then? In Louisiana?
Yeah, he grew up in Louisiana also. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, he's 98, so he's tiny. He's just seen a lot.
Yeah.
Like he's just seen a lot of the world in general, from 1920s to how America was, to the 50s, to the 60s, to the 70s. I mean, to now. I mean, he just got a cell phone. Like,
really?
My older sister, she's been out there for a while, with him, and like he just got a cell phone a month ago, like the first time ever.
Wow.
Like,
I love that.
It's like, wait, she's like, Grandpa has a cell phone, his number. It's like, wait, okay. Like,
Grandpa has a cell phone?
Right. Like, so for him to see nothing about a computer to now having a computer in his hand. Like,
Yeah.
You know, just kind of, you know, like, just he's seen everything.
Yeah, that's because I was just talking to my grandma, and I like getting her talking about her childhood because she was born in 1933, I think. And so she was born right, you know, in the beginning of the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And then in the 40s, their family life changed as she was just telling me how they got electricity and how she remembers, like, they would just sit there and turn the light on and off and on and off because they were so amazed by it. It's just so interesting hearing.
Yeah, and then, yeah, I mean, like, I just always think, like, I'd be blessed to live 100 years. I mean, he was born in 1922, so it's like,
Wow.
yeah, I want to be able to talk and say, I've seen all of this, you know, to, you know, if I have grandkids and stuff like that.
Someday when we have spaceships and
Yeah, when Mars is a easy trip, right?
yeah, like a quick trip to Mars.
Yeah.
You going to Mars this weekend? Yeah, well, I was debating.
You got an extra seat? Okay.
All right, come along.
Yeah.
So, how did you get into acting?
Okay, so acting. So my dad's been writing forever, like from back when we were in Japan, and something I didn't really know about till like we got here.
Okay.
Started like telling us he was writing like some books and, you know, scripts, and it's kind of funny. I did a short film for him when I was 19. It was me, my buddy Travis Martinez, and my cousin Keith is out here.
Okay.
And we did a film for him, his first short. And I always wanted to get into acting. I've always been like somewhat shy, like kind of like, I don't want to put myself out there, like I'm gonna be vulnerable, like all this stuff. And Nick Cannon, so like watching like Drumline or like Love Don't Cost a Thing, like some of Nick Cannon's early movies, I'd be like, I could do that. Like, this what makes him, you know, not like hating on him, but it was just like, oh, I could definitely play that role.
Yeah.
I could definitely play the roles Nick Cannon plays and be successful at it and be as good or better. And so that kind of strived me over the years, and I got into it like I was 19. Kind of stopped, didn't know if it was for me or not. I was a lot more sensitive as a person. Like I couldn't go, like literally it might have ruined me, like when I was young.
I'm the same way, yeah. I've had this conversation with other people.
Yeah, like I definitely would have went into auditions, like hearing no more than yes, like it would probably destroy me. Like,
Yeah.
just like, I'm not, and so,
That's me too. At that age, I was just so sensitive.
yeah. So I went to college, worked for the Forest Service for 8 years.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, so I did, I worked in Region 4 in Ogden, I worked in the building, so I did like geospatial data, topology, so designing the maps in like all the forest and the Region 4, so like Idaho, Wyoming, then we have Nevada, everybody comes in Nevada for the most part, and Utah. So I would design like the roads and like mapping and trails and stuff like that, and also a little contracting and stuff.
Oh
So
my gosh,
yeah.
that's a whole subject. I actually interviewed somebody about trail building
Yeah.
because I didn't know. I mean, I'm sure there's people who do know this, but I feel like a lot of us were just like, oh, I guess the trails in the mountains were just naturally
No.
formed. But he's like, no, we go up and we build those
Yeah.
trails and we maintain them, and it's a lot of work.
And you got to get permits, and fencing has to be right, and you got to deal with BLM and other like wildlife organizations that maybe you have to move the trail this way a few feet because there's a plant that grows here, or the deer, like or we can't put it here because the deer's neither, like there's a lot that goes into it. Even like building like Legacy Highway, there's a lot that goes into something like that because it's considered a scenic highway.
Okay.
And so that's why it's 55.
Yeah.
And they wanted that land because there's certain brushes that grow there, and there's wild animals that build it. They don't want to disrupt that. So there's so much that goes into building roads and highways and trails and stuff.
Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah.
So I worked
That's so
there. I worked there for 8 years, and
Okay.
I'm going to college and everything. And it just came a point to where like
Was that your interest? Like that's what you thought you wanted to do?
I knew I wanted to get back into acting, just didn't know how.
Okay.
And I knew. My dad knew people, and it's over the years, like, I want to get back into it, I'll do it this year, I'll do it that year, I'll do it this year, and then finally, like, it was 2015, and we were back in Louisiana for Christmas, and I told my dad, I said, once we get back, I'm calling Rob, and I'm getting back to acting. Like, I'm just going flat out, I need to get back in there, I need to train, I just start doing it, and so I did. And then my buddy, but it's still like, okay, I need to get on set, like, how, you know, of course, background stuff and all this, and my buddy, Carl House, he was doing background stuff at the time, and he was supposed to stand in for Common and be in Charlie, and he couldn't make it.
Oh.
And so he had gave them my information, not even really knowing at all that I wanted to be, not knowing, we've never had the conversation about me wanting to get back into acting.
Oh,
Not once.
wow.
He was
Just
like,
a coincidence.
yeah, he was like, hey man, you're similar skin tone, height and everything. You may have to shave your head bald. Would you like to do this? I was like, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Stand-in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did that.
To explain what a stand-in is really quick. Do you want to explain?
No, go ahead.
When you have an actor, do you have a better way of, can you summarize it?
Yeah. So a stand-in is, okay, so.
It's weird to explain.
Yeah, so a stand-in is when a prominent actor, a principal character, his principal character is a person that's prominent in the film, they use a stand-in for certain scenes to where that actor doesn't have to just stand there for X amount of periods of time. So I was common stand-in for a few scenes to where he wasn't focused on. So you couldn't tell if it was me or him.
Okay.
So then when it was his turn to be focused on and say his lines, then that actor goes in and does their job and then pull them out. So
Yeah, for like all this, because when you're filming, you've got all these cameras, you've got lights, you've got focus, you've got sound, and so while they're setting all that stuff up, they have someone stand there, and then they can focus on your skin. They can make sure the light looks good, because they don't have the famous actors stand there for all that boring stuff.
Right. Exactly.
But you usually get paid pretty well, and you
Yeah.
get to be there with the crew and with the cast, and like
Exactly.
it's actually a good opportunity.
It is.
If
It
you
is.
ever get the chance.
Yeah. So that's kind of my first my experience back on in the acting world, and
that'll light the fire, because as a stand-in, you're right there on set. You're in the middle
Right.
of everything.
right.
So did you get to like meet
So
Common and all these
no,
people?
so
Or?
I actually did all the stand-in work, like everything. So like even in those scenes, like I was there, like while they were shooting, like just kind of like the flash, because he didn't come to the next day, so I never met him.
Okay.
He flew in the next day.
Okay.
And I had met some people on set. Rob Ryan was great. I mean, my clothes were wet because the dryer stopped working. So my clothes were damp. They weren't drying all the way. And I was just like, dude, let's do it. I'm here. Like, I'm here already. Like, and he was just such a nice guy, such a good sport. Like, checked on me, got to talk to him a lot. So if I ever meet him, I'm gonna bring this up.
Okay.
He was great. So it was actually a good day on set, and that kind of, and I think I did like 1 or 2 more background days on Being Charlie. I think as extra. Or background extra, yeah. And then after that, kind of just kept training and did some background work, on other projects, and then slowly started booking projects.
Through Rob Diamond Talent?
Well, at first, before I got with him, I did like a few student films.
Okay.
And then I did some films I forgot this company. This company does films. They have this program where they have kids. They do film, music, a lot of creative art, and I did a film called Swerve with them. I had a supporting role in that short film. And then...
which is kind of a good way to get, I don't know, it depends where you're at, but I feel like if you just have nothing, if you have no family that's familiar with the industry, which you kind of did, but if you just have like no experience doing short films or student films, it's like at least somebody has something tangible they can look at and see that you're making an effort, see that you're willing to show up, see that you care, and then see how you look on screen,
Well, you can build a reel, and then
Yeah.
so where that's your trailer to the work that you've done, to where if they want to bring you in for an audition, or I've been hired off of my reel, like just flat out like, here's my reel, I'd love to audition for you. Oh, hey, we want to know if you want it, it's yours.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like, So yeah, it gives you that, and then you get to see how things work on set. Especially if you're on a really good set, you get to see like what everybody's job is.
Yeah.
And you get to see that it's they only do this, or they only do that, or wow, this is crazy.
This is how it works.
So yeah, I did that. Booked a few things. Kind of went away for a while, and trained for like a year with the lady named Jackie Chilton.
Oh, okay.
Just did a lot of like body language training.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Speaking, trained with my chakras.
Okay.
And that sounds
nice.
weird.
Get the chakras lined up.
Learning like where all my emotions come from, like where my
right.
emotions breathe from. So like getting into certain characters, I know where I breathe from. Like I breathe when I'm angry, I breathe with my hips. Like when I'm nervous, it's like my stomach and my chest. So I know like how to.
Oh.
I don't like to stay in character. Like once I hear a cut, like I'm like, let me know when you're ready. I just feel like it drains me personally. So that worked for me with her.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I feel like because I went to music school and I took as many acting classes as I could, and with music, we're always doing like, there's a lot of overlap with acting schools and like psychology. Like
Yeah.
you're all the classes that are designed to help you with your acting are actually really therapeutic.
Yeah.
Like I was really healthy in college mentally. I mean, in a lot of ways because of like all of that. I think because all those acting classes where you're doing all these exercises and you're getting in touch with your body,
Right.
you know, you can't get stuck in your head, and you're like trying to integrate your emotions and stuff, and it's actually like really good for you.
It's like learning how to be vulnerable and let go.
Mm-hmm.
And a majority of people probably aren't like that in real life. Like, I'm not a yeller, I'm not an angry person, but when I get to play a role where I'm angry and yelling or manipulative or whatever, like, it's kind of like, whew, that's out for the day. That's going to cover me for the next 4 months, you know?
It's a workout.
Yeah, and so I went with her, did speeching. I did a lot of Obama speeches because he's a great public speaker.
What do you mean, did Obama speeches?
So I'd walk in and she'd pull out an Obama speech and I'd memorize it, and my mannerisms, like I would project my voice without yelling. She taught me where my vowels come from in my mouth, like, so I don't have to yell or howl. Like, I'm a lazy talker in general.
Okay,
But
me too.
acting wise, like, I know how to project, or I know how to like pronunciate, like, because I know where each vowel comes from in my mouth, and like,
And to get yourself into the right place.
yeah, to say it, like, to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I got it.
That's a good exercise to have you just, here's a speech, memorize it, you know, because we got to get trained on memorization. That's so huge. And then
do it.
Yeah.
Or speech monologue, but yeah. And so, I mean, I've been around for a while, and I've had directors like, hey, what's wrong with you? Because I've been on set where I'm telling a joke, and I'm doing an intense scene, and I do it, and then I go back to telling a joke, and they'll be like, dude, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, dude, you like it? You like it? I love it. No, it's okay. I can do it again whenever you're ready. Like, you know, just and a lot that comes from her. Training with her for that year when I just kind of just needed something.
Just training you how to have the reins of your body, so you're not like so overtaken with something that you then have to like spend hours coming down from it.
Because I guess for the sense of my personal, like, I don't want to use past emotions and stuff like that, because I don't want to like stay in there. If I had to use something from the past, like my past that was hurtful, I don't want to use that to bring something out of my character and stay there, get stuck there. And it's a vulnerability factor. Like, I know if I can just get it out, like through breathing, it's not personal to me. It's just, you need me to be this character. Like, this is who my character is. I know who my character is. Oh, I got it. Let's do it.
I can be it, and then it's over.
Yeah.
Because I know how to go there.
Exactly.
That's actually sounds really healthy, because you hear these Heath Ledger stories, and I'm sure, I mean, what really went on there, I'm sure it's very complicated, but it does make you worry, like, that you go too much into something, you lose yourself, and you know.
There's a lot of actors that go to therapy. Like, I just read an article with Will Smith, and he said in his first film, 6 Degrees of Separation, he was doing method acting, and he actually fell in love with the lead actress that, like, I don't know if you've ever seen him, but he kind of cons a family. He plays he acts like he's Sidney Poitier's son. He's a con man. And the family that he cons, that he ends up staying with for a while, I forgot her name, who plays her, but he was like, I really fell in love with her because I was using method acting, and I really, I really developed these feelings for her. And he was like, never again. After that, I was like, I can't do that anymore.
Right.
And so.
And I've seen people do that.
Yeah.
Same thing, actually.
Yeah.
Because something about, I don't know, there's coaches that teach you, like, acting is being, like in your own life, like if you want to present yourself better, or if you want to be more confident or whatever, you need to learn to act a certain way. And to a certain point, acting does affect you.
Psychologically, like, you start believing, and I'm all of, like, and I think you should be your character. You should know who your character is. So you do become that character, but don't lose yourself. And there's so many different techniques to acting. I don't think there's a right or a wrong technique. I think it's kind of like soak everything up you personally can, like while you're training, and take what you know works for you and use that. I mean,
totally.
There's a lot of people who will tell you have to use Meisner, you have to use, like, I forgot the Russian dude, but there's so many people who are like, you have to do this and be that. But maybe that doesn't work for you. So take what you learn, soak everything in, and then disregard what you feel doesn't work for you and keep what you do. And maybe what you disregarded, keep it, because maybe later on in your career that might work for you. Like, take everything, but use what you know works for you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think people do find the thing that works for them, and they think it's going to work for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's like, no,
Right.
it works for you.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, did that, came back, did a monologue thing, did Devil's Advocate monologue, and some people loved it, and started getting an audition there before I signed, and then started going back to Rob, for scene study, and then signed with him, and then from there on out, I've booked multiple roles through here, but I've also booked a lot of roles. I use Backstage, Cast at Talent, Actors Access.
Okay.
My agent in LA, we do a lot of auditions. I do a lot of auditions through Actors Access.
Okay.
So I've gotten out of state a lot, booked roles out of state, and it's worked out. So
Cool. Just gradually building and building
yeah,
and building.
yeah.
And
Just getting better, figuring out like what I feel I need to work on. Audition's one of them. I don't think anybody loves audition. I think that's a thing for everybody.
it's the bane of my existence.
Yeah, and I think you hear a lot of actors. Octavia Spencer, when she won her Oscar, was like, I never have to audition again, because it's a thing.
Yay.
Right, like you want to get to that point,
Got you,
because auditioning is still a tough thing. It's kind of a psychological thing. Like, do I do it my way? Do I try to figure out what the casting director wants me to do? Like,
Do I go in there as kind of like with ego because
Right.
being so nice doesn't seem like it always works.
Right.
It seems like, and then you start like, well, I'm always so nice, and I don't. That seems to not work. So maybe I'll just be not nice this time, and I'll be more. I don't know. It's just like as an actor, you try so many different things.
It's a mind game, and then until you realize like you may be the best one, but your look doesn't fit the other character, or
Yeah.
sometimes you blow an audition, you feel like you blow it, and you get a call back, or you get the role, and you're like, oh.
Or you feel like you did nothing different from any of the other auditions,
Yeah.
and the callback or the role is like bigger than anything than
Right.
other things that you got rejected for that were smaller.
Right.
So you're like, well,
Yeah. And there's so much. You may audition for this role, but get this role. There's so much that goes into it that not every no means you were terrible.
yeah,
Like, just because you don't get it doesn't mean you were terrible. Your audition was terrible. There's just so many other factors that go into it. And, that's one thing I auditioned something, it's still working on till this day. But, at the end of the day, like, I audition, like, I rip up my sides and I just walk away. Like, it's done, what's done. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. I just kind of move on to the next, audition or project, if I have a project booked or something like that. So
yeah. That's what I started doing too. Just
Yeah.
done.
nothing you do about it.
I don't know.
If you dwell on it,
No reason to
stress
hang on.
yourself out, right? Like,
Yeah. If I get cast, they'll give me the new sides. So.
Exactly.
Brush it off.
You just gotta, it's kind of like let it go. Because if you hold on to it, then you're gonna be like, every time your phone goes off, you're gonna be like, is that an email from my agent? Is that a text from my agent? Like, and so when you get it, it's like, oh, yeah, I can be available those days,
Yeah. Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
Where do you feel like there's any pattern to your casting, like places, regions, or I don't know. I ask myself this, like I sometimes feel like I get cast for things that I like.
Right.
So I feel like maybe there's something they can sense where I fit them.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm a big believer on like when you get a chance to audition or submit for auditions, like submit for auditions for projects you'll watch.
Yeah, that's
right? There's a lot of people who just submit because like they want to be on set, which I'm not knocking them. There's nothing wrong with that because most actors want to be on set all the time. You want to be booking because you want to be working. But I'm a believer in like getting something in and it's like, yeah, but I wouldn't watch this and I definitely don't fit this. So like I'm not gonna submit myself for it. Like because I'm not, that's just me.
Oh, right, yeah. Even in the first place, you're not even going to submit.
No.
Because then, it does become a thing where you could get the script and you're like, I really, this isn't my thing.
Right.
And at that point, you don't want to turn it down because then it's a personal, so, yeah.
It's like you can read through it. Most of the time in Utah, I know they're good on when you have to submit yourself, you get the sides. Mm-hmm. So you can read through the sides, like, and I read through every side. Like, not just the character that I feel I would fit. I read through all of them.
Yeah, I did that.
Just to see, like, where this project is going.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I definitely watch this. So, yeah, I'll submit. If I get an audition, cool. If I don't, I don't.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be the person who submits for something knowing that, like, I'm not going to watch it. Like, because I might not watch it. I've done some projects where, like, I've booked and I've done it, and I have yet to watch the film because it's like, it's not for me. Like, and so I don't want to be that person. Like,
And it's living it's a form of living your truth.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like is doing projects that you feel good about, that you support, that you think is awesome,
Right.
especially, that you respect the directors and you respect the writers,
Right.
and that's going to be different from everyone. Just because you really love a project and you really respect what they're doing, it doesn't mean the other ones suck.
Right.
It's just you. Like,
Yeah.
we all have different values and we're all at different places in life. So we're all going to have different things that we gravitate towards and that we admire and that
Exactly.
we think is awesome and that, this is what I want to emulate, but someone else has a different thing that they like to emulate.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's the beauty of acting. There's so many different actors. Like, there's so many different actors who are good at so many different things that you said they'll emulate this like, to the best that it can be. I won't. So there's no reason
Yeah.
in me even, like, submitting for it, because I know I won't.
Yeah.
Just to get in the audition room, like, it's great, but it's like, I'm not going to give it my all. I'm just here just to be here. And
Yeah.
I've done that before, And it's something I had to work on. Like, dude, no, I'm just not going to do it. Like, it's not fair for me, and it's definitely not fair for the casting directors. I feel like I'm wasting their time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but like region-wise, I do a lot. Utah, like I've done in Idaho, Arizona, Wyoming, Colorado. I had some stuff on the East Coast that got canceled due to COVID.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's kind of just working
all-
my way around with some stuff. So
Cool. This has involved a lot of advice, but what advice would you give to people starting out in acting? Or starting out in life, like
know who
trying
you
to figure out if they should even go into acting or what direction they should go.
Know it's the most vulnerable thing you'll ever do, because
Oh, acting?
yeah, acting
Okay.
wise, yeah, because you're gonna, if you progressively work to get better, and eventually you will get casted. Like, depending on who you are, you're gonna cry on set. You're gonna be angry. You're gonna be emotional. Like, I played a serial killer, and my mom had talked for 2 days after she saw it. Like in a way, it was good. Like, okay, thank you, I must have did a good job, but it's like, that's not my son.
Yeah.
Like, Mom, but it's fake. Like,
Yeah.
you
I'm an actor.
I played manipulative boyfriend, cheating manipulative boyfriend. It's not me in real life, but I played it, and it was fun. Like, I wanted to,
Get in someone else's head.
Right. So don't be scared to take chances. People are going to judge you no matter what. Like, but know who you are. If you know who you are, then you could bring out. If you know who you are, then you can find out who the character is, and bring the best of the character out.
Yeah.
Like, and I read that from an article of a guy who plays on Black Lightning. I forgot his name, but that was something he said. If he could tell his younger self, like, how can I bring the character's truth out if I don't know my own truth?
Yeah.
So I guess initially know your own truth, and
So get to know yourself.
as a person,
yeah.
and then you'll be able to bring it out in an actor. And that was something that hit me. That when he said that, I was like, ooh, that was deep. He's right. And it may not hit everybody, but that was advice that I read from him that I would give somebody.
Yeah, because I feel like there are actors who can kind of do any project, whether it resonates with them or not, or they're not. I was kind of more like that in college. I didn't really have really strong opinions on things, so I probably was more versatile.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay too. Like, if someone is more prolific, whereas like Daniel Day-Lewis is more focused, you know. So you just have your different styles.
And like I said, I don't think there's a right or wrong. Like, if you're good, and you're gonna succeed. Like, I don't think there's like necessarily a right or wrong thing on how to get into your character, or how not to, or what advice you take from whoever. I feel like you take advice from people you trust. So if you trust that person, like, take that advice and use it if it works for you. So.
Or how to approach your career.
Yeah.
Or what you want to do.
Yeah, I think there's like certain marketing moves, and certain things that probably people like to do, or think they like to do, or yeah, I think it's just kind of.
There's so many people telling you different things too.
Yeah.
Don't take any extra stuff because it'll label you as extra or something. Well, I met casting directors when I was an extra who were there for fun, and to be close to what was going on. Like, but there comes a point where you don't really feel obliged to take. You're kind of like, well, I'm past that phase. I don't need the money. I don't need the experience. I don't need the connections.
Right.
But there's so much advice being thrown out that's like, so, you know, you have to do this or you have to not do this.
Like my one, like when you first start acting, I think it's good to do it a few times to first take classes, like train.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely headshots and build your resume. And I think you should do a few extra work, some extra work to know how set works. Like, so you know what's going on. So if you do book something, like, you know your role.
You know how the set runs.
Right.
Like, you know how things go. Yeah.
Right. And the extra work I've done, it was kind of cool, like doing extra work and then like booking something like a principal role or supporting role or co-starring role or whatever, and having crew member be like, yo, you remember me? I'm like, no, I remember when you were, oh, dope, cool. Like, how you doing? Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
You make friendships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but you did this project and I'm directing one now and I would like to see if you'd like to be involved in it. Like, you do make connections. And but there's some people who just do extra work just to do extra work.
Yeah.
There's some people who do it and don't want to get serious in acting. They just like being a part of helping a movie get made.
Being around the film industry, which is a cool industry.
Right. And so, yeah, like I said, there's just a lot of advice, a lot of things people throw at you. And you just kind of got to decipher it to see what works for you.
Yeah. And not ever think that just because they're so adamant about their advice, it doesn't mean it's necessarily right. You know, listen to some other voices that are adamant about other things, and listen to all the different things people say, and then make your own path.
Like we were talking earlier about some stuff, and I was like, your 5 sources. Get those, and then be like, okay, this works. Maybe not this one, but this one. Like, you know.
Pick and choose. And then how have you, I guess on the topic of negative blowback, because when you said that, I was thinking, you know, if you choose edgy roles, you can get blowback from more traditional people.
Right.
But if you don't do edgy roles, you can get pushback from people who think you're not taking difficult roles, or you're not a legit actor because you're not, the point being, and people are welcome to criticize or analyze things the way they want, but the point being, like, there's always going to be blowback. Like, there's always going to be somebody that, like, doesn't like what you're doing.
Right. Like,
so how do you deal with that?
Actually, just this conversation on
whether it's your mom or your best friend from
right.
high school, or, you know.
I just had this conversation on set a month ago. And, it's like sometimes you do get typecasted in a sense. But the key word is you can cast it still in a sense. Like I said, I've played manipulative boyfriend. I played a killer. I played the main guy's best friend. I played the guy in love. Like, and there's edgier roles that I have signed on to. There's a few projects I have signed on to that I'm playing totally different roles. Like, not the nice guy. Yeah. Like, I don't want to be the nice guy all the time. I don't want to be like the best friend or the guy who falls in love or the guy that's always giving the good advice. Like, no, like, I want to be the James Bond villain. Like,
I know,
I want to criticize. If I get offered another role where I'm an abusive, cheating husband, I want to change your aspect of me as an actor. As a person, you're going to be like, oh, if you're going to judge me off of that, like, it was fake. Like, it was real. Like, it's not real. Like,
remember, it's acting.
Right. But I guess it's just proving yourself in a sense, because everybody has a certain look they have or certain roles that they've done in their past to where, like, you get called in for those roles still. And you just got to find somebody, I guess, who when you have those auditions that are different from you being typecasted, like, to blow it away, or hopefully that somebody will take a chance on you to where, like, you can be an action star, or you can be a crackhead or a drug addict, or, it's kind of hoping somebody takes a chance on you so you could change that aspect of how people in the industry look at you. They could be like, how about Belinda? Like, I don't know, but she did this role, and I think she could pull this one off, instead of always playing that. So I guess it's just, and it takes a while for some people. It takes a while for some actors. It takes a while to finding the right people to work with, or coming across the people, like, who you can have conversations with, and they believe that you could do that, and they'll audition you, for that.
I actually do also. I don't know if I validate everything that people are experiencing, because there's always truth to it, but I'm not sure if I totally believe in the concept of people being pigeonholed. If someone feels pigeonholed, I feel like it's because they just need to go out and keep trying.
Yeah.
putting in good auditions. Like, even people at high levels, you know, I've read about feeling pigeonholed. Well, I got pigeonholed, so, you know, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, keep trying. Like, you know, sometimes, yeah, we take the feedback or the reactions or the, you know, things are happening and they happen that way for a year or two,
Right.
and then we give up, you know, and it's like, just keep going. Like,
Yeah.
don't just give up so quickly, you know, because now, you know, you're spending a couple years getting pigeonholed. Well, just keep trying,
Right.
you know. I don't know. That's how
No,
I feel.
I agree. Like, don't let them pigeonhole you.
Yeah.
Because there's so many opportunities, and or even for bigger name actors, there's so many opportunities and so many films going on, independent films, and independent film. Like I said, like there's a lot of big independent films. Like you got to still look at Quentin Tarantino's independent filmmaker, George Lucas independent filmmaker, and Night Shyamalan. Like they're just that big, but since they're still independent filmmakers.
Yeah. Auteur.
And yeah, Auteur, like there's still a lot of independent filmmakers that are rising. That a lot of big name actors are working with these people.
Yeah, or if you feel pigeonholed by the bigger industry,
Right.
go and do some indie films
Right.
that you're more likely to get casting
Yeah.
because you're a big name, and then you'll show that you're
Right.
capable of doing this, and you know, and it's just a different route of going about it. You know,
Right.
you don't have to get validated by one group of people.
Because it'll go to Sundance, or it'll go to
Yeah.
Cannes, or it'll just
Yeah.
go straight to Netflix and 10 million people will watch it, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I think we're in an industry where I feel like we're in an industry where we let people validate us and we accept it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, that's like our go-to. Like, and it's tough. Like,
Especially as actors.
yeah, like if somebody like says like, hey, didn't like that role, like you feel a certain way about it. Like, but also it's like trying to get past it. Like, everybody validates. People are always going to validate what we do in this industry, and we have to not focus on all the negativity and just keep pushing it forward. Like, yeah, and you know sometimes if you do a role that wasn't the best, you know you're like, you're right. I didn't it didn't turn out the way we expected it to be, but I got something else coming up. That's going to be way better, I promise, you know? So it's kind of just moving forward. It happened. There's nothing else you can do about it. It's shot, it's out, it's happened. They're going to validate, they're going to say whatever they want for the next, as long as it's playing. But your next one, you can learn from that.
Yeah, which actually are making me realize acting is one of the most challenging industries you can be in, as far as like just being someone who's secure in their core, or you know, which is just a part of this life experience, is like learning to just live your truth and be your truth, because there's just so many things, you know. It's like you were saying, you kind of backed away from the social media.
Yeah.
Which is probably smart as an actor, because that's one place you can get trolls. And, you know, I've seen huge, you know, big time people get really broken down by trolls. And it's funny because from my perspective, I'm like, they don't know if these are bots.
Right.
They don't know who these people are. Why are they worried about what they think? But they're still human. Like, it still affects them. And even at that point, even with everything you've achieved, even with all of the accolades you've gotten and everybody who loves you and says you're amazing, you can still be sensitive to just these comments that you get online, you know? And it's like, as an actor, you're constantly needing to be validated, because if you're not validated, you won't get your next job.
Right.
So it's like such a tightrope of like, when do I speak my truth? When do I speak out about issues that I feel like are important? You know, so that I don't die just not saying anything important in this world. But then every time you say something important, someone's not going to like it, and that person's not going to cast you, because
Right.
it's not like, anyway, I don't want to go off on my own thing, but if you have a stable job as an engineer, you're not constantly like needing to be hired. So
Right.
you can kind of say more what you want to say, and as long as you do your job well, you know, there's still some.
Well, no, I agree. It's that, like on social media, it's that one person. Like, you could have 100 comments and 99 are good, and that one person says something, and you focus on that one comment. Like,
Yeah.
that ruins your day or your week, or you feel a certain way about yourself because that one person, like you said, you don't know if it's a bot. If it is a real person,
Yeah.
dude,
Who are they? You don't know.
yeah, there's 99 other comments that said they loved what you did. And that goes from a picture or a video, or maybe just turn off the notification. Like, for me, it's like social media is a thing that you're letting a lot of strangers validate you.
Right.
like people like you don't know, or somebody you met once or twice, or somebody that you met through somebody heard about you. So these people are validating you, and
an instant judgment.
right,
They can make you either feel great or
Right.
feel like you're trash.
But I feel like if you know your truths, like we're human, things are gonna get to you, right? Not saying nothing ever gets to anybody, but it's just
Yeah.
one of those things. It's like, kind of, I guess, like, what do you want out of it? Like we talked about, like I feel like there's a lot of passionate people who don't know why they're doing things. It's a passion, but they don't know their truths of why they're doing it. So like they're more sensitive to social media, and we're in an era to where social media is a thing. Like it's post everything you do, keep posting, like get people's attention, like put it on, put it on, put it on, put it on. Because if you don't put it on, then no one's gonna think you're doing anything.
Yeah.
And
Which is not the case at all.
not at all. But then that opens
Like you're booking all the time,
Yeah.
but you're not constant. You don't post about it on social media.
And
much.
I'm just a person who doesn't really care, right? Like I just feel like the people who know what's going on will know, and then like when the products come out, then they'll see it. Like, oh, you did, yeah. Like just let it speak for itself in a sense.
Yeah. I didn't even know you're working because you're not on social media. So you must not be doing anything.
And I get that from people when I run into people, or I call people, or they call me or text me like, yo, what have you been up to? Like I'm like, oh, this, that, and this. Oh, well, you didn't put it on social media. Like, I don't care.
It's
Yeah.
you know it's a digital reality, right? It's not a real reality.
Yeah, and I guess in my sense, I guess I'm old school. I've talked to people who are like, oh, you got to post more. You should post more. You should market yourself more. And I'm like, I guess it's the old school aspect of like, I want to make it without it. Like I don't want that. Like I don't, because like, literally like it's not a thing for me. Like I mean, have I posted? Do I post? Like I scrubbed my social media from years of being on there when it was fun. When it first started, and now it's...
Oh, right. That's a good point. It used to just be fun.
Yeah, like Twitter and Instagram, it used to be fun.
That's all it was.
Like just to keep in touch with people and joke around and not
Keep
have...
in touch with relatives.
Right, and now it's something different, and where everybody like judges, like you feel like they're judging you, and that's where you get your validation from. If I don't get 100 likes or 50,000 likes on my post of me being on set or my video of me being on set, if I don't get that, I didn't do it. Like I didn't do something wrong. I mean, do something right. And
or am I not relevant anymore?
right.
Yeah.
And so for me, I just kind of like eliminate it. Like, just, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like the people I know, people who care, like know what's going on. And when it comes out, like if somebody else posts me something in the trailer or something, yeah, I'll share it. Just got to get me on it because my notifications are off. So, it's just eliminating the process because like I'm sensitive. I'm an actor. We're sensitive. Like we're sensitive general people.
And yes, for the most part, I believe so.
So like I don't want to see all of it all the time. So it's just like since notifications are off, like it's not even something that crosses my mind to get on. And so I don't have to worry about it. So people could be saying things about me right now, and I'm not gonna know unless somebody tells me.
That sounds amazing.
But,
As a person who
Right.
uses social media quite
but also I will like put something
normally.
on my story every now and then. I will pop up and like post a picture, like I will, and then like I post and then I get off. Like it's just a post and I'm out. Like I don't know what goes on after that.
Which I know is true because I went on your Facebook. I don't think I went on Instagram, but I went on your Facebook like I think this morning. And I was looking down, I was like suddenly in like June, and there was like 3 posts or something. I was like, you practice what you preach.
Yeah,
You really aren't on there a lot.
Because then I can focus on like, I guess, getting better as an actor. Getting like when I'm on set, like I was telling my little sister about like I'm on set. I'm so quiet on set, like because I'm just like focused. It's not about like a jerk. It's just like I'm focused. Like I'm here to do a job, so I'm gonna do my job. Like we could talk. Like I'm open. Like we'll talk. If I'm been on set, we talk and everything. But it's like here to do a job, and I want to see what's going on. Like okay, what are they doing? Okay, what are they doing? I'm in the green room. I know what's going on. Okay, when are you ready for me? Okay, yeah, I'm ready. I have my sides. Okay, I'm good. I have my short. Okay, cool. Like I'm here to do my job. If it's one scene, if it's one line, if it's 5 scenes, if it's 20 lines, so like that's what I'm here to do. So I'm going to do it, and I'm going to walk on set. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to leave. Like, like.
Yeah, which I think if people aren't careful how much time they spend on social media, they're developing social media skills.
Yes.
By spending so much time on there, they're getting really good at social media,
Right.
but they're not, like, how much time are you spending on your craft?
Right.
Which is what you want to get good at.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you're good at your craft, those are the people that are going to book which we forget, you know. We feel like the people that have the most exposure and the most, you know, and it does these days that, you know, that does have an effect, you know.
Right.
Like there's some casting directors in some places where you have to have a certain amount of Instagram
Very true.
followers in order to get the audition,
Yeah.
because then they have a ready-made audience. And there's
Yes.
arguments for that. Like, it's nothing against that, but if you're spending so much time doing this thing over here, you're developing that skill.
Right.
You know, you're not developing your acting skill,
Right.
which I do think your acting skill is gonna
Yeah. Well,
play be the most effective.
and I do look at it that way. Like I've seen a lot of social media stars like getting films, and some of them have put in the work. Like you could tell they put in work where they've gotten better. They went from just being social media videos and like doing skits to booking to getting better and booking bigger and better things.
Because they then dedicated time probably to their craft, acting craft,
Right.
not just their social media craft.
And so like, there's ways. Like, I'm not saying social media is wrong.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Because people make it off of social media. And attention, people love certain attention, and people want fame and fortune and stuff like that. But it's, I guess, at what
And
cost?
it's marketing, or
Yeah,
you can see
market
it as you're
yourself.
marketing
It's free
yourself,
marketing.
yeah.
It's definitely free marketing. So I'm not saying it's wrong, because I know people who are great at it. It's just not me.
Yeah,
It's
and
just,
I do
you
think
know?
it's a choice. Like, you know,
Like, I really don't know what's going on. Like, as far as like,
that's probably good.
and I probably, and I do get on, like, because I pay attention to like the Utah film pages and stuff like that. So I get on and scroll through, and because my phone's only set for 20 minutes, like a day, to be on social media. That's between every social media app. Like after 20 minutes, it's like, yo, and I don't say renew. I'm like, oh, if it's up, it's up.
Yeah,
Cool. 20 minutes tomorrow.
that's a good
You know?
idea.
And so like I'll get on real quick and I'll scroll through what's going on like in the industry here, especially independent films. But oh, that's good. Maybe I'll submit for that, or maybe okay, cool. Like I get through all the drama because it's not for me. It's not my issue. But I'll scroll through to see like what projects are going on, what's being casted for, and see if I'd be interested in like emailing them to submit myself to see if I can get an audition. So I do that. I do get on.
Which is productive.
Yeah, I do that. I haven't done it in a while. Probably once
Even then, you don't do
yeah,
it.
it's like once. I try to do once a week at least, but sometimes it's like once or twice a week. See what's going on and to see what. And I try to stay in touch with what's going on in Utah as much as I can. I could do a lot better job. But yeah, it's one of those things. I guess I figured out what works for me and what doesn't work for me, and so I'm more focused on what I feel works for me. Now, if it changes to where something happens, like my agent in LA, some stuff happens and you book stuff, and like, oh, or next project, if I gotta work social media, if it's in my contract, then I'm in. Like, I'm doing it.
But if what you're doing is working for you and you're happy, why would you change it?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And if it's effective and leading you in a direction.
Yeah.
So.
But once again, I'm not saying it's wrong.
Yes.
I'm just saying whatever works for you, you should know what works for you, and you do that.
So, what are your experiences as a minority in the film industry, as an actor in Utah, and then in the greater film industry as a whole?
I've been typecasted. I mean, like in Arizona, I played a dude with dreads, hitting on this chick on the street with a bottle of liquor and stuff. Like pulled her up from the side of the road. It's a different scenario, but so I did a film 3 years ago, and I sent him an email about his project with my reel, and I just auditioned, see if I could audition for it. And I emailed back, and like I booked it, like off my reel,
Cool.
Which is cool.
Okay.
I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to, audition, right? And I remember him telling me that when he wrote it, like he did not expect, I guess he didn't expect like a black person to audition for it.
Okay.
So that wasn't like some.
Because he didn't have it in the description, or did he just leave it vague?
It wasn't a real description. I don't remember. I don't think it said anything about like white or Caucasian, because if it would have, I wouldn't have submitted for it. Like, I wouldn't, like when I see something that says they're looking for like blonde hair, blue eyes, white, Caucasian, it's something. If I see something that's all ethnicities, I submit. If I see something that's specifically, and I'm not, like I don't submit for it. It's
Okay.
I don't email the director. It's like I'm not gonna waste their time. But we talked about it, and he was like, I just did not expect that. I did not picture a black guy playing this role. Like, but even out of the people, all the people who auditioned for this role, and then I got your demo reel. Like, you're the best one. Like, I want you.
Yeah.
And it was cool. It was like a black person never crossed his mind. Like, period.
He just
And-
cast you as an actor.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine that.
Right. Like, so, but I have been on situations where I felt like in auditions that they say authenticities, they say they want a black person. And I felt like that they've told me to be blacker. I have.
Oh, right.
Like
I think I've heard this before from actors.
yeah, like be more like, you know, in this one of the instances, it was like, you know, he was like, I want you to do this, woo ha, and I was like, oh, J.J. Walker. They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, and I shut down, like,
Okay.
because it was my initial audition and my callback, like they loved it, like, oh my God, you're so great, you did something with this character that we did not see in the character, you like opened our eyes to this, but be this.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, in a
Like,
sense,
go.
yeah, it's like I've been
Yeah.
black my whole life, like you can't tell me.
What a black person acts
Right.
like or looks like or
Right.
seems like.
Yeah.
Which as an actor, it's already annoying if someone kind of just like wants you to just suddenly be something.
Right.
You know, I mean, to a certain point, you do need to be able to be flexible
Yeah.
and take direction, but to be funny right now,
Yeah.
or like be sad right now, or you're not being sad enough. Like
I need
it
tears. I
just
need tears.
shuts
Cry
me
right
down.
now.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it shuts me down.
And so like in the industry, especially in Utah more so, because I'm more in Utah over the last 5 years than anything. I guess it's just feeling like ethnic people can play any role. Also, it's not just they have to be
That character.
Yeah, like that black or that Hispanic or that Asian. Like they could play this lead also. Like they could be the person in love in Chicago and the business guy, and she could be the person that falls in love with him as the artsy person. And it doesn't necessarily have to be clean cut and everything. I guess in my sense, like
Or a
I've had,
stereotype.
yeah, stereotype. I guess in my head, and just it's like let the people show who they are, their ethnicity especially. It's like why can't they have long hair or curly hair or dreads or braids or you know, I guess I've had an issue with since my hair's been longer for a while, which I definitely do need to get new headshots with my hair longer. But it's also like, why can't I show that? Like, why does it have to be a certain, like you have to look this way if you're gonna get this? And which to each is their own. Which is they're the ones putting up the money. Like that's they're doing what they need to do, what they want to do. But I guess for instance, it's like let that show. You know, so the people in the industry and the people in the world that are watching the films are like, oh, yeah, like they could. Anybody could play any role, I guess, in a sense. And sometimes you feel or you come across like you're not getting certain roles because they have a stereotypical thought in their head of what you should be like.
Yeah.
So,
Because it's like, I mean, I feel like a good writer, there are sometimes going to be characters that fall into certain
right.
kind of like generalizations or stereotypes because there are those people.
Yeah.
Like, but it's kind of short-sighted, probably.
And with that being said, like I feel like people write what they know. And so like if somebody writes a movie and they grew up in suburban or America and all their friends are white, then that's what they should write. Like there's no need just to throw in something because you think it's gonna sell or like I have to throw in an ethnic person or this person, that person, because if I don't, then they're gonna look at me crazy. But that's what you know. That's what you know. Like don't
If it's your true reality.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if I write a film, it's gonna be multicultural because of where I grew up. So it's gonna be friends from every race and culture that I grew up with. But that's just because how I grew up, and I'm writing everything based off of each character is probably based off of somebody I actually know to an extent, right?
Yeah.
And so like I guess for me it's like.
But if you're going to write, if you only grew up in one place where you're in a culture that's, more homogenous,
Right.
and so that's all you know, don't stick in these other characters from
Yeah.
other cultures that you really aren't familiar with.
And expect them to act on how you've seen them on TV, or
Right.
maybe you came across a few of them and they acted that way. It's like don't just they shouldn't have to. Why can't they just be a normal person?
Yeah.
That's what I say.
For who they are
Yeah.
and who they're auditioning, and
Yeah.
or you write a role,
Yeah.
male or female role, and it, you know, it could reflect a few different races. It doesn't
Right.
really matter what race plays that role.
Right.
Like if the person kind of reflects the role, there's
Right.
people that are into sci-fi of all different backgrounds.
Yeah.
That could play a character that's nerdy that's into sci-fi.
Right.
You know that, or
And I guess it's a beautiful thing to see, like, especially in like the bigger picture industry. There's a lot of that going on now. There's a lot of things that have happened in the last 10 years to where it has opened up for, like, I guess, the best actor. I mean, there's art instances where they're like, oh, we have to hire this actor because what's going on, you know, which it's not the actor's fault. Like, if they're going to switch it up for you, then do the best job you can do. But there has been a lot of things that opened up that's made people realize, like, this could be anybody. Let's just give it to the best actor or actress. But there are still some places that aren't quite there yet. That's what I said. And like I said, like, you know, it deals with where you're at. You know, not everybody knows those type of people, so they go off of what they've only seen personally and for how they think they act, and so they do expect that. You know.
yeah.
Which can be good and bad. I mean, because there are films that they need that ethnicity to be that person. There are certain films where it fits in context.
Yeah, if you've written it well
right.
and you understand, you know, what you're writing.
Yeah, and then there's a lot that aren't. They just want to throw that in there and expect you to act that way. So, yeah. So I mean, I've been fortunate enough to play different roles to where it wasn't about that. It wasn't about me being. I mean, it's been one or two, but for the most part, it wasn't about me being like black or white. It was just about me like being an actor. So
right.
That's been good. So.
Yeah, where you're like the biggest characteristic they're seeing you as is your ethnicity.
Yeah.
It's like you'd rather the biggest characteristic they see you as is your acting.
Right. Yeah.
And who you are.
Exactly.
If you're seeing someone who fits a role and has the right fit or the right personality, and then also they're prepared and they really give it their all and they just fit what you were looking for, then that's the most important thing, I guess.
Right.
Like
And you think about it, like these stereotypical lead roles, like, I mean, movies started like in what, 1900s?
Yeah.
Like back in where like only like majority of Caucasian white people were doing films.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a stereotypical lead role that we've gone accustomed to over the years.
That's our root. Yeah, that's
what, and so it's still like ingrained in us in the industry. Like that's a lead. Like this person's this. You know,
this is what a lead is.
What a lead looks like, a male or female. Which acting, I guess, in a sense, is telling real stories. I mean, fact or fiction, they're telling people. It's still people's emotions that are in these stories. So it's telling real life stories in a sense. Yeah. And so, and if you do that, like, that's real life people. So every race, color, culture, creed, anyone can be a lead.
Yeah.
You know, depending on the story you're telling. So.
Yeah.
You know, there's everything's intertwined and mixed. So yeah, like you said.
It's a great melting pot.
Exactly.
One thing I like to ask, and I sometimes forget, so I'm gonna try to remember to ask, what do you feel like? What's something you've learned about in life so far? This is a big picture question.
Like in all my 34 years of life.
Yeah.
Be myself. I mean, there's those quotes like, be yourself. If you're not, nobody else will. Don't wish you were somebody else because it wastes the beautiful person you are. Be yourself, but always like make changes. Like, we all have our issues. We all have our faults. And it's just like finding your faults. Like somebody can tell you over and over again what your issues and faults are. And no one likes to hear that. No one. I don't like to hear somebody says, Paul, like, don't do that anymore. You shouldn't do this. Like, you're doing that too much. You're not doing this enough. Like, oh, yeah, leave me alone. Like, I'll figure it out. I think over the years I've gotten good at figuring things out, like things that I feel like I should fix in myself, and I'll fix them. It may not be on somebody else's time. It may not be on somebody may tell me that I should fix this. It may not be on their time. But I'll fix it on my time, because I feel like if I fix it on my time, I really did it for me.
Right.
Like if I fix it on your time, I did it for you. Like, and that can only last for so long.
Yeah. Until
I revert back to what I was doing that you didn't like I was doing. But if I see it and I fix it for myself, then that's gonna last forever.
Right.
So I've learned like it's be yourself, learn who I am, and because that means that it tells you to be able to know, like, there's things about all of us that we don't, I hate to use the word that, things about each of us that we don't like about ourselves. So it's things that there's some things about ourselves that we just are like, man, I could change that.
We could work on. Yeah.
I don't like doing that. I don't like thinking that way. I don't like being that person at certain times. So it's just fix it. Just gradually learn who you are and gradually fix over time. Because you're always growing as a person, and there's always going to be something that you feel like you can fix about yourself. It's not about being perfect. It's about being the perfect you, but not perfect for everybody. Because not everybody's going to like you. There's 8 billion people in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want 8 billion people. I don't know if I need that many people to like or love me. A billion's too much, you know. So I don't mean to be a jerk about that, but if I need 1 billion people to like me, that's where the social media thing kicks in.
Yeah.
That validation thing from all these. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. A million's a lot of
pleasing people all the time
Yeah.
can be a never
like a million, 100,000, like 10. Like there's a lot of people, and so for me, it's just, and it's helped me in this industry. Like I said, we talked about the attention and the fame thing. Like I'm selfish when it comes to attention. Like when I'm with somebody, like friends, family, like we're physically together, like in the same room, like I want your attention because I'm gonna give you all my attention.
Yeah.
Besides that, it's like out of sight, out of mind for the most time. You can ask a lot of my friends and family, it's like out of sight, out of mind. Dude, I haven't talked to you in like 2 weeks. What have you been doing? I meant to call you. Like, my bad. And they, close people know that about me. Like, yo, he's really means that he's always busy doing something, making himself busy.
Yeah, I think when you're in any arts industry,
Right.
you're spending a lot of your time on what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's time consuming.
Or I just need a me day or two, where I just want to be bothered by nobody. My phone's on do not disturb.
Which
Yeah.
I like because I feel like we're so polarized today. It's like either you have to be totally yourself and never take any feedback, never, excuse me, never take any, like, never be able to take any, never be
Right.
open to any negative feedback or negative responses to anything you do, or you're not living your truth and just playing into whatever it
Right.
does. And it's like,
Yeah, it's the
that
yin
seems
and the
healthy.
yang. Like, take the positive and the negative, but you could flip the negative to a positive. Like, but take it, and don't get upset. It's kind of like, it's tough. It's tough to say. Like, don't get upset. It's like, because you're gonna feel a certain way, especially with somebody close to you. You're gonna be like, oh, okay, I'll talk to you in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Let me
Let's
think
back
about
off.
this
And come back to this.
But you're gonna be thinking about it to where you can be like, maybe it's not me that I need to change. Maybe it's something in you. But since we're close, I could tell you that. Or maybe, you know what, you're right, it is me. I'm gonna make an effort to do that.
Yeah.
So to knowing that. And so that's what I would tell. That's something I've learned over my years here so far.
Cool.
Yeah, and that's a lot to do with my family, close friends, especially my parents.
Is that a family value you feel like you kind of grew up
Yeah,
with?
my mom's always told me to be myself. Like, my mom always had a quote. She was like, "Walk around like you have $1 million in your pocket because nobody knows." And that deals with and that what I get from that quote is being confident. Like, always be yourself, always be confident. So people will want to get to know you, or we walk in a room like, who is Belinda? I don't know, but she has an aura about her. Because while you're walking around, you have $1 million in your pocket. It's the confidence you carry, and it can open up doors for you. And now, if they ask you $1 million, you're not going to say yes, right? but
It's a feeling about yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So that's always been like a family. My mom's told us that since we were kids.
Oh, cool.
Like, that's something that's always been like, be yourself. Like, not everybody's gonna like you. Everybody's gonna love you, and that you shouldn't worry about that. Even in this industry, you're great as an actor, and everybody likes Will Smith or Denzel or Leo or Al Pacino. Like, there's people who don't like them as people and as actors, right? And actresses, like, that's a thing,
Yep.
And so, yeah, just believe in yourself, know your truths, have confidence. It's okay to validate yourself at times. Like, it's okay to be like, I'm good at this. It's okay to say that. It's okay to let your light shine, because you may inspire. If you believe you're good in something, if you bet on yourself, other people bet on you. If you don't bet on yourself, why would somebody bet on you?
Right.
So it's okay to know you're good at something because you work to be good at something. And it's not like, don't be like cocky and flaunt it, but like, say, I'm good at what I do. Like, I am. It's okay to say that.
Yep.
Like,
I'm not a fan of guilt narratives. Of
Yes.
like, no, I never have to. I need to just cut myself down all the time. You know, it's like I don't know if that's healthy.
That's the kind of the humble word.
Yeah.
Like be humble means like shut up. Don't let people know you're good.
Yeah.
Like, but.
Which is sort of the taking it too far.
Yeah. You know, be humble. Yeah. So, yeah, and have confidence. It's okay to have confidence, and know that you, like I said, are good at something, and you know, and it'll show without you having to say it for the most part. But if sometimes you may have to tell somebody, or somebody tells you that you're good, it's okay to say thank you. I put in a lot of work to be this good. I'm glad you realize. I'm glad it shows the work I put in. That you know.
Yeah, I think that's a mature, which we all have to sometimes remind ourselves. But that's the more mature, like thank you. You know, I don't need to shrug this off or act like it's not true or be awkward about it.
Yeah, like you're good. You know, I used to say a thing like, oh, somebody would tell me something like, oh, it's debatable. I had to stop saying that. I'd joke around by it, like, thank you. I appreciate that. I've been working on something. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I had the same thing where I guess because maybe when you're in performing, you know, you do a show and everybody compliments you.
Right.
So you kind of get a lot of, you have that experience a lot of, you do have to learn, like, to just accept it.
Yeah, and that's like I mentioned the word humble. And I said my little sister has a clothing line called No Humble. But
Wait, what?
My little sister has a clothing line called No Humble.
Oh, okay.
And because the word humble is, like I said, it means like, people say be humble. It's like, you're good. Like, oh, thank you. Okay. It's like, don't let people know you're good, or like work your whole life to be good at something, but then be quiet about it.
Yeah.
Like work your whole life to be whatever you want to be, but shh, be humble. And kind of the definition of the word is more of a downgrading, like be quiet, shut up, don't let
Hide
people know.
your gift under a bushel.
Yes, exactly. So you do a show and you work to be good at it. Thank you thank you. Like what'd you do to get here? Oh my God, I trained this hard and I was doing this, I was doing that. And also you can be encouraged and you could be good too. Like you did great yourself. Like it's okay, you know? It's okay to let your light shine, because you let your light shine, you let other people's light shine.
Totally.
So
I like that.
yeah.
We're all helping each other. We're all encouraging each other.
Like I say, we're in an industry where I tell a lot of people I know in the industry, since you're auditioning for a role together, if I don't get it, I hope you get it. And like I really do. I hope somebody I know gets it, that I know is working hard and wants to, progress in their career. And there's so many roles, enough roles for everybody, so that there's no need to have like the hate and like bitterness towards everybody else. That even if somebody else gets this role, it's like, I can't believe they got that role. Like, why? Like, maybe there's so many factors, like I said, that go into it, to the reason why that person got it. Just hopefully, hope they do good.
Yeah.
Like, root for them. And then move on to your next, whatever you got going on next.
Yep. Just keep the positivity.
Exactly.
We can lift each other.
It comes back around. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Thanks so much for sharing. Also, I guess a last question. I've been forgetting this like every time lately, so I guess I'll include it this time. And this is kind of an on-the-spot kind of thing, and it's kind of a fun question, but it might. I don't know. We'll see. So if you were a boulder, like a huge boulder that was stuck somewhere for like the whole history of the Earth evolution, where would you be stuck? Like, no tricks, nothing,
It's
not a trick question, like, just the reality of the question, like, is if you had to be one place for the entire history of mankind, is there somewhere you would be?
I can't say in the sky, right? Because boulders don't exist in the sky.
Oh, I haven't had that one yet.
I would say if that was a possibility, but
Okay.
where everything works, it's not real, right?
That's an out-of-the-box answer, so.
Because I want to see what's going on in the world. I want to
Okay.
be wherever I'm at, like at one spot, like I want to be able to look down and see everything that's going on in the world, to be able to experience from where I'm at.
Okay.
Like every culture, every language, every festival, like I want to be able to be like, oh, I've been here forever. Oh, this is new. Humans are doing something new now. That's interesting. They're doing it here too, and I want to be able to see all that.
Cool. So maybe like a satellite.
Oh, yeah.
We'll make it not a boulder, but we'll make it like a satellite that's like orbiting the Earth.
Yeah.
And you're
And I
watching.
have super zoom vision where I can see.
Yeah,
it.
you can actually see what's going on. That's a good one. I like that one. Cool.
And yours would be?
I see. It's funny that I ask these questions because I don't like these questions. I'm not good at these questions. I'm not good at narrowing something down. Mine, out of everybody's answers so far, the satellite would be the same for me because I'm just so curious, like infinitely curious. So and I probably because I come from an international family, so
Right.
I like the idea of seeing everything that's going on.
So when I'm Facebooking finally, I could be like, hey, I saw what you were doing earlier. It's kind of stalkerish, but
Well, that's the first. You're also the first person that's asked me what I would do. So now I'm having to think on
you
my
gotta have
feet.
answers to the questions you ask, right?
Yeah, which I didn't. So now I'm on the spot.
None of us do. We always ask questions and like, what about you? Yeah, you weren't supposed to ask me. It's,
Yeah,
it's not about me, it's about you.
I'm asking the questions here.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. Is there for like bookings or do you have a website? Like if someone wants to reach out to you?
I don't have a website.
Okay.
Email address is just paulanthonysonnier@gmail.com.
Or your agent? Who would
Yeah,
they reach out to?
here I'm with Rob Diamond Talent in Utah. Outside of Utah, I am with Pit Mobile Entertainment. They're out of LA. IMDb is just Paul Anthony Sonnier Jr. All my social media is Paul Anthony Sonnier Jr. If you catch me posting. So
That might be like the elusive, like.
Yeah, go look.
Yeah.
Just to see, right? But yeah, everything's my name. Everything's
Okay.
my name. Yeah.
Cool. What's the background of your name?
If I'm correct, it's French.
Okay.
And it means bell ringer. So if I'm precisely correct, my dad and I have talked about this over the years too. They're the ones who would like ring the bells in the French towers, like when like ships were coming in and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. I should have asked that earlier.
No,
'Cause I already did my closer, but yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.